Hello and welcome to a new edition of Merrill's Monday Market Madness. This is a market update video that I do about once a month, usually on the first Monday of the month, to share what is happening with the residential housing market in the Phoenix metro area. I'm a little bit of a numbers nerd and a little bit of an over analytical, so if you don't like numbers and you just want someone to give you a basic answer, you're probably gonna hate this video. But if you like diving in and understanding what's happening and why is it happening and what's really going on, then this show might be for you. All right. So I usually like to start off by taking a look at our current supply and demand balance. So right now in our MLS, which the MLS is a little confusing, but the Arizona Regional Multiple Listing Service covers the Phoenix metro area extended. So we're talking, all of Casa Grande and Wickenburg and but areas that are not part of our MLS are things like Tucson, Flagstaff, Show White Mountains, Payson. Those are not part of our MLS. However, many times agents that are in those smaller markets will join our MLS and also add their listings in there. So like a percentage of homes, I don't know what percentage. So when I show this data, it's sometimes it's all of Arizona, but it's not complete. It's just mainly what's in the Phoenix metro area with some, maybe 3% of all the sales that are being added to our MLS that are outside of the Phoenix area. So that's why these numbers are a little bit wonky. But anyway, in our MLS, we have currently 15,875 active listings, residential listings. So that includes townhomes, condos, single family homes, manufactured homes, 15,000, almost 16,000, which is higher than we were. Low watermark this year, we got to around 11,000, maybe 10,800 or so active listings. So inventory has been on the rise, meaning over the last couple of months, homes have been getting listed faster than they're selling. And we've been seeing inventory increase. However, right around Thanksgiving, it really leveled off and has not been continuing to rise, which doesn't really surprise me. We saw the same thing happen last year. Inventory was rising, and then all of a sudden in December, it started falling. Not necessarily because people were suddenly buying up all the homes, but people were taking their homes off the market or choosing to just wait until the new year to put it back on, or that kind of thing. So we're actually seeing inventory probably start to dip. We did go over 16,000 at one point. And to put that into perspective, last year at this time, we had around 20,000 active listings. So 16,000, we're still down, what is that, 20%, if I'm doing that math right, 20% from where I just did that in my head on the fly. So hopefully I didn't mess that up. But 20% fewer, lower inventory right now than we had at the same time last year. Pending, there are 6,019 pending listings in our market. Now, the number that was quite interesting for the month of November, over the last 30 days, we've had 4,304 closings, giving us a month's supply of inventory, meaning if no new homes were to be listed, how long would it take for everything to sell? We're currently at 3.69 months supply of inventory, which is pretty close to what we would consider a balanced market when we look at that month supply of inventory number. We were into the ones, and heck, in 2021, we were into the 0.4 range for month supply of inventory. Typically, a 4-month supply of inventory, balanced-ish. 5 or more would be a buyer's market. 3 or less would be a seller's market. So we're relatively close to a balanced market from a month supply of inventory standpoint right now. Now, for the month of November, so looking at, instead of over the past 30 days, looking just at the month of November, we had 4,634 closings. Which was equated to a total sales volume of $2.644 billion. The average price of all 4,600 of those was $570,729. Our average sales to list price ratio was 98%. And the homes that sold spent an average of 57 days on the market. Now, the thing that's very interesting about that is just the total number of closings. Only 4,634 closings equates to one of the slowest months we have ever seen. In fact, I pulled up a chart. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully this works. I always get nervous about sharing my screen on here. Let me see here. Let's go to, I think, this button, share screen. And I want share that screen there, and I'm working on a split screen here, so hopefully this works out okay. But this is a chart of how many monthly closings we've had, you know, each month over the past 5 years. Now you'll notice their number for November is 4,311. That's because I'm using the entire MLS and they're only using the Phoenix metro area for this chart. But either way, you can see they call it 4,300, I called it 4,600. The point is we've only ever had 1 month with fewer closings, and that was actually in January of this year. We had 4,104 closings in January of this year. So again, second slowest month we've had for the past 5 years. But I also just know this chart only shows a 5-year history. But honestly, I don't think we've had a slower month in terms of closings probably since 2011, maybe 2012. So we're looking at, you know, over a decade where we have not seen that few units sell in the Phoenix area. So I guess what I'm really saying is that sales volume, like the total, obviously the total number of closings, the total number of units that sold, way down. But interestingly enough, the prices are actually rising. So again, if you look at the average sales price in November, it was $570,729. If I go back to November of 2022, so go back 1 year, the average sales price was $527,000. So we've actually seen an increase in the average sales price year over year of $43,000. Now, in all fairness, the average can be a tricky number because sometimes really expensive or a lot of really cheap homes sell and it skews the average. So I'm usually a bigger fan of the median. What is the median sales price? And I didn't run the median sales price of this November versus last November, but I do know that it's not up that much. So what is that, 8% or something like that? The median is only up 2%. But here's the point. Despite the insanely high interest rates and despite the extremely low buyer demand, not a lot of buyers willing to buy right now because of affordability, right? If you have to buy if the median home price is roughly $440,000 and you've got a minimal down payment and you're having to finance that at a 7.5% interest rate, unfortunately, that's just a monthly payment that a lot of people are not willing to entertain or can't qualify for. And then you've got a situation where maybe there are people who technically could qualify, but they just are uncomfortable with the payment or are not willing to have a payment, or they're already in a home where they have a really great, maybe 2.875 or 3.5% interest rate. Sure, they would love to move, but they're choosing to stay where they are because they're not willing to change their 3% rate for a 7% rate. So what this is leading to is just a massive, undersupply. I know I mentioned we have 15,875 active listings in our MLS right now. But that is still really low given, a population of 6 million people. I've seen if we had normal demand, we would need probably somewhere between 25 and 30,000 active listings at a given time for a balanced market. So despite the high rates, as you know, rates all year have been in the 7s. So despite that fact, we are still in a situation where average home values are rising, not dramatically, but prices are still increasing. And so that just gets me thinking, wow, I wonder what would happen if rates were lower, right? I mean, we're seeing prices rise with 7%. I think a lot of buyers, unless you're paying cash, are not terribly worried about what they're actually buying the house for. I think they're more concerned about what's their monthly payment going to be, right? So if rates come down, then they can suddenly qualify for more house without increasing their monthly payment. And we've actually been seeing just that. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. And I've got 2 more things that I wanted to share with you. So let me see here. Okay, so this is a website that's put out by Freddie Mac. The URL is freddieMac.com/PMMS, and they look at what the average interest rates are, and they even write a little commentary. So the downside to their site is they only publish this once a week, but they have that mortgage rates have now fallen for the 5th consecutive week. So if you look at this little chart right here, we hit our high watermark. The blue line The blue line here is 30-year fixed rate mortgages. So we hit our highest interest rate of the year in October 26, 2023 at 7.8%, and it has now fallen to 7.22%. Now the problem, the downside to Freddie Mac's website is just that they only update this once a week. So I also like to look at NerdWallet. NerdWallet has a thing where they update it every day. And check this out. They're saying that average rates are now at a 6.853%. So if we come and, graph that onto here, the last time we saw rates that low was in the summer and in the spring, where we had rates in the mid to high sixes. So, no crystal ball here, but I'm quite optimistic about the housing market in 2024. If we continue to see rates improve even slightly, then I think we will see an uptick in buyer demand. I'm not expecting anything to go crazy, but I'm just like, man, if average prices were up anywhere between, depending on whether you're measuring the median or whether you're measuring the average, we've got prices up anywhere between 2 and 8% this year, depending on how you're measuring it again. And that was with really high interest rates all year. What could happen if rates went down? And I don't think anyone is predicting rates to go back into the 3s or 4s, but I am seeing an awful lot of analysts saying that they're expecting rates to fall, by the end of next year into the 5s, possibly the high 5s. But I think each 0.5% that rates drop, suddenly there's an extra couple thousand buyers that suddenly say, you know what, I think we should buy a house now. And as that demand increases, supply is going to stay low, and I think we're going to see home values continue to rise. If we saw between, again, 2 to 8% this year, wouldn't be surprised if we saw closer to 10% next year if rates do improve. Now, if rates stay pretty much, if this little 5-week dip that we're experiencing just ends up being a fluke and rates keep on staying high or going up, then that might not happen. Home values will probably remain relatively flat. But if rates improve, we're going to see home prices really climb. If you're a buyer, if you've been thinking about buying, this is by far the best time to buy a home because there is very little competition. Most homes are not seeing multiple offers. Again, this is the highest month supply of inventory number that we've seen all year. So there's the people who still have their home on the market are motivated. They need to sell. If you wait for rates to get way lower, if you wait for rates to come down to 6% or whatever it is that you're holding out for, the competition level is going to be way higher and you're going to end up paying way more for the house. So there's something to be said for buying right now, even if the rate isn't everything you want it to be. Maybe you consider a short-term buy down, a 2-1 buy down, something like that, so that you can get into the house with something affordable and potentially refinance it later. I know that's slightly risky because there's no guarantee that rates come down, but it's something that's worth exploring. Because if you wanted to buy without having to deal with multiple offers and bidding wars and overpaying for a house, this is the most buyer-friendly market we have seen in a long time. If you're a homeowner and you're thinking about selling, usually my advice is, well, buyer demand is super, super low right now. And so if you can hold off until the spring, I think you have a better chance of selling your home for more money in the spring when buyer demand traditionally starts to climb. But if you are in a situation where you have to move and you have to move quickly, the advantage is there's, a lot of people are waiting until the spring to put their home on the market. So yes, demand will increase, but so will the amount of competition. We are still selling, close to 5,000 homes a month in the Phoenix area. So it's not a lot. It's the slowest we've ever seen, lowest number of sales we've ever seen. But that's still 5,000 people who are buying a home right now. 6,000 people have homes under contract right now. So there are still buyers available. You just have to be a little bit more competitive with your pricing strategy in this current market. So anyway, hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions about what the market is doing in your area, or you'd like an update regarding the value of your home or anything like that, this is literally my favorite thing to do. So please let me know what you would like to know more about, and I will do what I can to help. Thank you all so much and have a great day.